Okay, fantastic lunch, great session before this. I'm going to take 15 minutes to take you guys through something that's extremely interesting. We'll try doing this in 4 parts. I'll give you a little bit of legacy and gyan, so forgive me if you already have it. If you don't have it, try consuming it. I'll try and make it as humorous as possible. After that, I'll give you a little comparison because it's, India is now being called a developed economy, at least in terms of mobility. It's important that we look at other developed economies and see how we're doing there as compared to them. And then we'll talk about the why and the how of these bottlenecks and why they exist and what I really think needs to be done. So given that, and given that I have 15 minutes and I don't want to take up too much of your airtime, I'm going to get into the first slide. This is my legacy Gyan slide. So I've been in the auto space now for 15 years, at least in the used car space. I started that journey with eBay Motors, got to be a part of the initial teams at a company called Motor Exchange that became Car Trade, then became Carwale, so on and henceforth. And if you look at the evolution of the way the used car piece has actually gone ahead and evolved, you'll realize that it started with independent used car dealers. These gentlemen were mom and pop shops that sat at every corner, aggregated supply in their micro markets, did the best that they could to get those cars to look as polished and clean as they needed to be and then push them out. The problem with that model is it didn't have tech, lacked scale. The next intent that came on was manufacturer-backed certified-led programs that came out there, and the forefront of this is Maruti True Value, which I think did a fantastic job. And then you had players like Mahindras and Hyundais that came in and said that we want to try and push certified pre-owned from our own stores. And then you look at this, you realize that they were all very inward focused and were not great in terms of the technology application that it needed to connect with other players in the ecosystem. It was very inward focused at trying to manage RVs only for them, which was great. And I think they've made some great progress there now. And then, of course, you had traditional classifieds, which is where I spent 15 years of my journey, some part of it being in India and some part of being outside of India. And when you look at that journey and you realize, that a classic classifieds ad in a newspaper getting replaced by ads on the internet, where sellers and buyers can meet and they exchange numbers. Great way to actually go out there and have some ice break, but not necessarily results into transactions, and a monetizable model that really doesn't provide for scale, given that the cost of advertising here sometimes tends to overseed the subscription money that dealers can pay you for ads that you make here. And this is classic where you see Car Trade, OLX, you see Carwale, Car Dekho, initially in their journeys in 2008. And then fast forward, you come to 2012-13, where you see this sudden surge of a playbook in the US called Carvana's playbook being copied elsewhere in the world, where people come back and say, I can sell a used car online because everything used can sell online. If everything can sell, I can sell cars online as well. And this resulted in, a mad rush of, great venture funding going in there, trying to build trust and convenience as a proposition, where people could go out there and either buy a car online or sell their car online. A classic example of this is players like Cars24, players like Spinny, Car Dekho, all of that is in that league. So fantastic model there. I think it does solve a very big problem in terms of convenience and transparency, but not great in terms of the acquisition of the customer cost, which I think plagues this model globally across the world. And as a result of which, running a positive, unit economic model here sometimes tends to struggle. Sorry. So, quick, where are we with this? You have a 20% organized share of the market. You have a problem of aggregating quality supply and doing it cheaply. You've got excessive cost of customer acquisition, which tends to bleed your business. And by the way, we're a price-sensitive market. 6% wholesale margins, 15% retail margins. And if you spend a lot of that in just acquiring customers to come to you and sell or buy their cars, using that as a medium, you're not really going to go out there and make money. And of course, quality supply, which is what everyone wants, on the used car front is missing. With this, I'm going to take you through a very, very heavy slide. I'm going to spend only 30 seconds on it, and I know it'll be overpowering, so bear with me. This slide that you see is the landscape of what used car tech ecosystems in the US looks like. Every single block that you see on top represents a very critical element required to run a sustainably well-connected supply chain for used cars. So traffic generation is where you advertise, you get people who come to you. Everywhere you see a beige box in the between is a play where you see that there is India, someone or the other in India is playing that role. So classic example here would be traffic generation. You have OLX, you have Cartrade, Car-Deco, you can advertise there, they give you traffic, they give you leads. Online retailing, you could look at Spinny, Cars24, vehicle subscription. Yes, there are a ton load of vehicle subscription companies that run here. But all the white patches that you see there are patches where no one's really got a game going here right now and no one's looking at that space. So either you're going and building that space saying you want to own the entire supply chain yourself, but no one's really taking the SaaS platform, online platform play to go out there and connect the current ecosystem players to aid better conversions and then to eventually go out there and aid lower cost of customer acquisition, because better conversions means you've acquired customers, even if expensive, but you've acquired them relatively cheaper. So that's my 30 seconds on this. This is an important one, guys. This is very close to my heart, and I think it's extremely important that you guys spend a minute here. This is the comparison that I was telling you about the US and in India. So 17,000 roughly franchise stores in the US. 17,000 franchise stores means 17,000 new car dealership stores in the US. In India, you have roughly 5,000 new car dealership stores in India. But here comes the interesting part. If you look at those 17,000 franchise dealership stores in the US, you'll realize that they actually aggregate 41% of US's 40 million used cars, which means roughly 16 million used cars in the US start their selling journey in these new car dealership stores. In India, the same percentage is around 25%. So 41% there, they run very aggressive leasing, buyback plans. In India, you don't have all of that here. You have pure exchanges, so 25-30% of that gets aggregated in new car dealership stores here. But here comes the interesting part. If you look at the number of cars that get retailed out of new car stores as used cars in the US, you'll realize that 1/3 of all the US cars that are retailed and sold back as certified used go from franchise dealers. But in India, that percentage is as low as 3 and 5%. So you have Indian dealers who aggregate supply fairly cheaply. They don't have to market and advertise for it. And yet they are in a position to not go out there and turn all the inventory that they actually get into their stores as a retailable proposition. This is a clear loss given the amount of money that's currently being spent by some of the top-notch guys in this space from the perspective of trying to acquire customers. We looked at this problem, and of course it then magnitudes and expands itself to a problem where do you have an ancillary line of business that can support your core proposition as retail? How much revenue does it give you as a core proposition, and what are you really doing there to go out there and build that? US gross margins on used as a business, 25%. India, new car dealers as an aggregated pool, they make anywhere between 3 to 5% of their entire annual turnover as used car business operation profits. So big problem here. Why don't new car dealers in India actually go out there and run impactful used cars as a proposition? And we looked at this and we realized there were 4 gaping holes in the supply chain, and we want to take you through some of those. First, how do you accurately price a vehicle that's not of your own badge? How do you price accurately a Skoda vehicle that's come into a Honda store or vice versa? Do you have the right way to even evaluate that vehicle? That's the first question. If you do have the right way to evaluate, do you have the right pricing input that you require to actually go out there and price that vehicle? The second, of course, is the big issue saying, okay, I want to run a great used car proposition at my store, but how do I go and build a retail proposition out of my store where I probably exchange 3 cars of my own brand every single month? How can you have 3 cars standing out of my store and still provide for customer experience, choice, all of that? You can't do that. Where do I aggregate the rest of my supply from? Where do I get supply of my own brand in my store so I at least have 10, 15, 20 vehicles to show? Big question mark, no answer there yet. Second, do I have a method in which I can engage with the external market players that exist, which are great in what they do, whether they connect customers or they get me wholesale rates or provide for great auction values or provide for warranties and services which are of brands which I don't run myself? How do I integrate with them on a click of a button? Can I go out there and build that as a proposition so that it helps me facilitate easier, smoother used car operations without having to add additional manpower in my stores? And then, of course, is I have the used car as a down payment against my new car. What happens if I buy the car incorrectly? What happens if I'm stuck with a used car? I already have a bank, overdraft or loan facility against the stock that I bought from the manufacturer. I don't want to get stuck with capital here. And all of these problems are big problems because they actually get the new car dealer principle very disconnected from the idea of wanting to do something in the used space, because there is no playbook that's coming, which is helping them with all these 4 elements here. We looked at these 4 problems and then we said, let's go out there and understand them better. What was clearly missing was the need and desire to having an evaluation app that fits across brands, has the ability to give you a great estimated repair price for any vehicle that you go out there and evaluate, has the ease of use of it being idiot-proofed for anyone and everyone to go out there and evaluate the condition of the car, and leaves you with an assured price at which you can go out there and buy the car. What is an assured price? It's a price at which if you want, you could sell the car within 10 minutes. So the ability to actually go out there and get that price to then facilitate a trade transaction for yourself. It's a commodity price for every car. Can you go out there and have that which comes from a transparent, fair market value, which you can give to your customer and the customer doesn't feel offended about that price? Second is, how do you aggregate cars of your own brand? How do you go out there and start getting access to cars which are of your brand, but in another brand store? So you want to buy Skodas that come to, a Honda store. How do you get access to those Skodas? How can those cars come to you and become an integral part of what you can go out there and then refurbish and put out as an exchange proposition or a certified retail proposition in your store? Third, okay, you have access to supply. How do I get retail leads? How do I connect with the right wholesale buyers? What if I want to explore the opportunity of pushing these cars cross-geographically, boundaryly, buy cars in Pune and have them sold in Bombay? How do I get access to the tech there? And third, of course, is in doing all these 3, I want to run an extremely de-risked used car proposition and go out there and aid the facilitation of, a higher rate of organized share of the market. So guys, what I'm going to show you next is a video that we put up, which gives you an outline of a product that exists that does all the elements that were missing that I presented to you.
Intelligent computation, assured pricing, robust remarketing, vehicle scan. The most powerful inspection app that allows even non-professionals to grade and report vehicle condition. This tool captures all critical elements required to evaluate the vehicle and capture its true condition. Intelligent computation, a web dashboard that reviews and grades vehicle parts and potential damage. Conducts necessary due diligence before making a binding offer for the vehicle and compiles a final inspection report for the vehicle. Assured pricing. A unique pricing algorithm that provides assured realizable values for all vehicle segments and profiles. Sheerdrive's assured price provides a real-time transactable value for the evaluated car that can be encashed in less than an hour. A unique QR code for every vehicle giving a comprehensive report and assure price. Honest, fair and transactable prices. That's Sheerdrive's assured pricing. Robust remarketing. Procured cars need to be optimized for a relevant channel of sale, ensuring enhanced margin earning. Sheerdrive's omni-channel state-of-the-art vehicle remarketing platform connects to various car wholesalers, retailers and end customers. Come, let's step into the world of VR. Simplifying used cars transactions with new age tech. That's Sheerdrive VR.
Thanks so much for that. So guys, that more or less is a snapshot of what the entire platform has the capability to do. It's broken into those 4 parts. The idea of this is to go out there and de-risk the used car proposition for new car dealers and get them the ability to actually push for certified retails from their own stores. So removing the issue of having non-tolerant, non-right workforce, manpower for pricing, not understanding vehicle make model variants and understanding adequate refurbs, and transparently going out there and procuring any vehicle and ensuring that the operating margins that have been got on this vehicle have been got and optimized in a fair and medium environment. So I think that's the focus of what that was. As much as that was an AV, all of these products are being used and are being used. Those are some live snapshots of what this product actually looks and does. That more or less, guys, is where I was to be. My time's up as well, but that is the snapshot of what that was. But to give you some idea of the scale of what we've gone ahead and achieved, we've gone ahead and now got more than 65,000 vehicles onto this platform. We've transacted with close to 12,500 of those vehicles through our own books, and an additional 12,500 vehicles where we've not had to exercise the price guarantee code that we gave. We work with close to 100 odd new car dealership groups across the country, around 17, 18 odd brands. And yeah, we're operational in around 19 cities. So guys, that's what I wanted to present. Thank you so much for the time. If there are questions, happy to take them. Can I get 2 minutes for the questions? Yes. Please. If any questions, I'd love to take any questions if you guys have any. Sure.
Do you have data on tier 2, tier 3 towns? I found that most of these aggregators fail to give data on tier 2, tier 3 towns and pricing in tier 2, tier 3 towns.
So Chief, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Out of the 19 cities that we are operational in, 15 are tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We're very, very focused because we understand that the plaguing of the problem of aggregation in new car stores is far more in B and C towns, because their capabilities to remarket the used vehicle with tech tools is absolutely non-existing. So yes, we do sit out of Bombay and Delhi, but those are the only 2 tier 8 cities that we are in. The rest of our cities are tier 2s and tier 3 cities.
Thanks.
See, just I wanted to know, what about the two-wheelers? Are you
So-
thinking about the two-wheelers?
So fantastic question again. The numbers that I gave you are pure car numbers. We started the same initiative with two-wheelers 45 days back. We've clocked 120 two-wheelers on our platform. It's live right now in only one city.
Because there's a huge potential. And
It's absolutely great there. I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Much appreciate the time. Thank you so much.